is Stars, Cars, Guitars with Tony Hadley, Jim Cregan, and Alex Dyke.
Hello, Tone. How you doing?
How are you, mate? I'm all right. I'm good. Yeah, really good. Yeah, I'm very well, actually. I'm all happy, looking forward to the future, optimistic, positive. Voice is feeling good. I'm doing a bit of singing every day, so I feel good. Yeah, great.
Well, that's good news. Tony's in the room, and my old buddy Jim Cregan. Hi, Jim.
Hey,
Alex. How are you? Hello, Tone.
Hi, Jim. You're all right, mate?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Yeah.
I'm great, thank you. I like your optimistic tone. I like the fact you're so optimistic about things. You seem to be like this most of the time, which is very nice quality.
Do you know what? I'm not being funny, but you know what the music business is like. I've been through adversity personally, professionally, and everything else. And I'm one of these people that, how can I put it in a simple way? If you phone me up and you say, "Oh, I've smashed the car," the first thing I don't get up to the first thing I say, "Are you okay?"
Yeah.
Because everything else is replaceable. You know, the most important person is the person. It's not the house that you may have lost, or it's not the car or anything else. It's not the ring that you lost. You know why, I gave you this or I received this. So I just always look at things optimistically because, well, otherwise you're just going to be miserable.
Well, there's a lot of, there
I
seems
don't
to
want
be
to be
quite a lot of
miserable.
people about. I think it's great that you have that. I'm like you. I'm a glass half full kind of person. When I get out of bed, sort of like most musicians, at about 2:30 in the afternoon. I've just got up. No, I'm lying. I'd like to say I spring out of bed, but that would be a huge lie. But by the time I've had a couple of cups of coffee and had a look out the window at the river where I live, I go, "This is all right. Life is good. Life is really good."
Yeah.
So I'm really happy to recognise that in you as well. As for Alex, of course,
thanks, mate. He's a miserable sod, isn't he? Eh?
I'm thinking both of you two must have been perfect husbands. I mean, you're both so wonderful.
That's why I've been divorced twice. Yeah.
I'm not saying a word.
Now, Jim, some unfinished business. We were going to talk last time about limo drivers. Now, I'm sure that you and Tone have got a few stories about being in the back of limos, and maybe one or two could be told on this podcast.
Yeah. I've spoken to my lawyer, and I'm allowed to tell at least a couple. So, as you can imagine, the whole thing about touring is the travel. You spend hours and hours and hours doing sitting around waiting for something to happen. As Charlie Watts said, being in the Rolling Stones for 50 years, it's five years of playing music and 45 years of hanging about. And so one of the things we would do when we were bored is play tricks on the limo driver, especially if he was a bit pleased with himself and went a bit too fast. If you're on a country road and you like to go around corners a bit quickly, so it's vaguely uncomfortable in the back, sliding across the seats. We'd play this game where we'd wait for him we'd see a corner coming up, and we'd wait until he went into it. Then Rod and I would crouch down behind the partition, right, and quickly open the door on the outside as we went around the corner and scream, right? The door would be flying open, and there'd be this yell.
That's brilliant.
The driver would screech to a halt, and then we go, "What are you stopping for?" And so that worked really well. And the other one was that some drivers are heavy on the brakes, and that's annoying, right? So you're constantly doing this, in the seats. So we would ask him a question. So we had the partition down, and then the next time he hit the brakes, we would leap through the window and fall into the front of the car on his lap, and with our feet in the air, we'd start going, "Oh, what happened?" And we'd be all over the poor bloke, and he'd be, have a bit of trouble finding his way with two or three musicians all over him. So those were two of our favourites. And then, of course, the third one was if the driver stopped to pick up some water or something like that, and was silly enough to leave the keys in it, we would steal the car. That was automatic. We were just waiting for him to do that, leave the engine running. We'd get in, drive it off. Sometimes we'd only go around the corner and park. Other times when we knew where we were, we'd actually go back to the hotel and you'd have to get a cab.
Oh, that's rotten, but very funny.
Well, the motto, of course, of the Sex Police was cruel but fair. And that, which we borrowed from, of course, from Monty Python. That's the one about I can't remember the gangsters who are obviously modelled on the craze. He nailed one of my feet to the floor. He was a cruel man, but fair. Do you remember that sketch? It was quite famous, I think. Anyway, so that was what we would do pretty well whatever needed to be done in order to amuse ourselves. Because that's the whole thing about touring, is you've got to keep having a laugh. And you've got to find more and more ways. The longer the tour goes on, the sillier it gets.
Yeah.
Tone, I'm wondering with you, you were in a band, there were 5 of you in the band, and, you were the face, you were the voice, you were the pin-up, but there were other people who, wrote the songs.
Alex.
Well, it's true, and the fans will back us up on that. And there were other people who wrote the songs. Was there ever a lot of competitiveness over who should get the best limo and one-upmanship with other members in the band?
No, there wasn't actually. We weren't really it wasn't like that in the band. It was all pretty equitable in terms of all that kind of stuff. It never ever got to the point of I want a better car than him and all that jealousy business. It never ever got to that, thank God. The one of the biggest problems we ever had was with backing singers, who would they would be the ones that wanted a better. I remember our parents were we flew them over to Rome once, and to give them, and they got taken out, wined and dined, and saw their sons playing live. It was a magical moment. All our parents, when they were all alive and stuff, and bless them. And but I remember they were going around in like limos. We made sure they were really being treated, really well. And we had a bit of dissent in the camp from the backing singers because they got jealous of the fact that our parents were travelling in limos and they were just in regular saloon cars. What?
Oh,
get out of it!
Okay.
Wow.
That's cheeky. Yeah.
That's a bit cheeky. Yeah, I mean, the backing singers can always be, they're great and stuff, but sometimes there can be problems, especially if there's any shenanigans. And
right.
relations.
Back to the limo again.
You're talking about sex on the road, Tone, of course, never happens.
Relationships with backing singers tend to have a habit of petering out midway through a tour or whatever.
Yeah.
And that presents itself with all sorts of problems. And I'm not necessarily talking about my band. I'm talking about bands that I know and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I've heard some absolute horror stories and stuff. But one of the weirdest ones, I remember when it wasn't a limo, it was a taxi actually. And I was in New York and I was 21. And New York in 1981 could be a pretty dangerous place. And I remember saying to the taxi driver, I was just this young kid dressed as Robin Hood. And I said, how dangerous, as you do, how dangerous is it in New York? And he just flipped the glove compartment and pulled out a 38 snub nose and goes, hey, pal, it's this dangerous, man. We don't muck about in New York. I went, okay, fair enough. Put the gun back. And I was 21. I'd never seen a real gun. And I was like, it's real. We're in New York. I'm in an American film for a second. It was a bit scary, actually. It was scary and exciting at the same time.
Yeah. Talking of New York, hold it there. I want to come back to New York.
Stars, cars, guitars.
Now, just before the cameras started to record, Jim and Tone were trying to outdo each other of where they've eaten in New York. In fact, we were talking about rock and roll. Within about 2 sentences, Tone got it on to, New York, the food. So come on, Tone, best place you've ever eaten in New York.
In New York. So myself and Ali went a few years ago now. We went just before Christmas. Now, New York, I'd never been there at Christmas time. So it was snow, Central Park, freezing cold. And I just wanted that Christmas vibe, And one restaurant that was recommended was a restaurant called Quality Meats, which doesn't sound exactly, it doesn't sound great, does it? But actually, what a restaurant. What a restaurant. Fantastic bar, great atmosphere, full of real quirky. I love New Yorkers. The food was incredible, and you could have fish as well. We had oysters to start with, and then we had a beautiful steaks and everything. It was amazing. And then we walked down Hudson Street to a speakeasy, and then another night we went to. I've been there about 3 times now. Is Robert De Niro's place in Tribeca, which is called Tribeca's. Oh, fantastic food, really good service, great wine. Just New York has just the vibe. I love it. Really lovely place, yeah, and great food, super food.
Have you ever eaten in Littlehampton in Dorset? No, neither have I. Oh, sorry.
Jim, you probably spent more time in New York than any of us. I've done half a dozen trips there. Tone's been there obviously more than me, I'm sure, with the band and solo projects and all of that. But I always would like to think that I could live in New York. I love the people. I love the vibe. You know, when we've been talking over coffee in the past, you're not so sure, are you?
Oh, no. I like New York. It's LA that I got tired of. But there was a time when Rod Stewart was dating Kelly Emberg, a really beautiful girl and a lovely girl. Being.
Lovely girl.
And she had an apartment in the Village, and I would go over there with him just to keep him company. And we would both stay at Kelly's apartment, and she would, try and arrange for me, because she was a very successful model and had some very successful model friends. So you can imagine how attractive that was to me. So I would go over there, and we'd go out as a foursome with some beautiful model that Kelly had dragged along. Poor thing, she didn't realise what I was like. And then Rod and I said, we should get an apartment here. So on a few occasions, we got a realtor and we went around and looked at places. And then after the first time or the second time we'd looked at these flats, we were thinking of buying one together. And I realised that the realtors thought that we were gay. We thought we were a gay couple, right? So then we started behaving more like a gay couple just to keep it going. And eventually the whole idea fell on the floor. But I liked the idea that Rod and I were gay and we would go to live together in New York. It worked for me for about a week. No, not that long. Half an hour. So I could have happily had a place in New York. I'd have liked that a lot. But no, I didn't. And I don't regret it, because now I live in Christchurch, which is one of the great places in England.
I mean, of all the places I've been to, I mean, like New York, LA, Rome, I love Rome, I love Milan, I love Spain and everything else. But I always like coming home. I spent a long time in Ireland. I spent 3 or 4 months in LA on a couple of occasions, lived in Munich for about 3 or 4 months. But actually coming back to England is... There's something about this country that's, or Britain, I should say, that is just pretty unique, and obviously the pubs being a major one.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to say food, because back in the 70s, the 80s, the food over here was pretty gross. Yeah. But the humour, the banter, the fact that everyone's always ripping each other all the time, and other people look at British people, because we're always taking the piss. And they look at us as if we're like, "What are you doing?" But that's just the way we are. It's just our vibe.
It's quite hard for other people to understand it, I think. Go on, should we let Alex have a word?
Well, I just want to get
That's
for
enough.
once.
That's enough.
For once, I've got something to say about food, right? And I thought this would please you, Jim and Tone. I really enjoyed eating at Tavern on the Green in Central Park.
Yeah, me too.
Yes. And I only knew about it because John Lennon went there for his 38th birthday a couple of years before he was tragically murdered. And I'd read about it, and I went there and fell in love with it. I did it 3 times in a week. It was just amazing. So I just wanted to bring that to the party, because I thought at least Tone would think, Alex is talking food.
Well, no, because it's old school, isn't it? It's really old school. It's really traditional, and literally. Mine and Ali's hotel was just a walk. We would just walk through the park from the hotel, and there we were. And I have to say, you're right. It's a great little place. Really, really nice. Yeah.
Is that the homeless shelter just across the road from the Tavern on the Green that you were staying at? Is that
that
the one?
was the one. Well, actually, we were on the sidewalk. We were on the sidewalk. There's a double duvet on the floor.
And an extra layer of cardboard.
Never forgiven me.
Now, in the last episode of Stars, Cars, Guitars, Dr. Hadley was mentioned, and I was reading through some of the YouTube comments.
I did read some of them, and they were very complimentary, Tone. They were all agreed you could easily be a soap opera doctor, and I can see why Alex went there. And the stethoscope, I've been searching on eBay, but I can't find one. But I will eventually find one. Yeah, and send it over to you. Yeah,
I looked for one for you as well, Tone, but I couldn't spell stethoscope, so I didn't know where to start on eBay. I had no idea. Any thoughts about the future of Dr. Hadley, Tone?
Well, I should qualify in about 10 years' time, and I'll be practicing on people in the meantime, just for fun.
Stars, Cars, Guitars. Subscribe. Find us on Facebook, Twitter, and starscarsguitars.co.uk.
Has anyone been watching Line of Duty?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah,
and the Syndicate. The Syndicate as well is great. Neil Morris is brilliant in it. Absolutely fantastic. Really is great stuff on TV. Not that we get to watch a lot, because by the time the kids go to bed, it's you don't get much time. But the Line of Duty.
You've got till 5 in the morning. You've got till 5 in the morning to stay and watch TV.
Mate, I'm just not that good,
Yeah.
I can't. I mean, when I'm on the road, that's the kind of vibe. You come off stage, you're on the tour bus and everything else. You have a few drinky poos. You're up till 2 or 3. But when I'm at home, it's especially when we have to be up so early with the kids for school. It's like, no.
Yeah, I've got a huge advantage that Ava gets herself up and gets herself out to school. And the school is across the road from where we live.
Oh, okay.
I'm so fortunate. She walks to school, takes her about a minute and a half, and I can languish in my grunter until I feel like getting up, which is, what a great life I've got. Spoiled rotten.
Actually, Jim, what time do you get up, honestly? Generally?
But before 10. I'm usually up before 10. But I don't usually go to bed till 3.
Oh, really?
Till 3. Yeah.
Oh, wow. What do you do?
I work usually. I'm usually on the computer doing music.
Oh, okay.
I'm mixing or mucking around, because I don't get that much time to do it in the daytime, because I'm a full-time dad. So, between, going down the shops and, putting petrol in the car and stuff like that, the day goes quite quickly.
Yeah, no, I
and
know.
Of course, I've those lessons in how to do the laundry that you sent me were really useful. I realise now I've been doing it wrong. Not allowed to put your shoes in the laundry anymore.
No, you're not allowed to do that.
No, I wish you'd told me that a bit earlier.
I tell you what, for a fella, I'm quite adept at washing machines and dishwashers, tumble dryers. As I mentioned, I got me I want to break free Hoover, and it's magical. It's really magical. It's funny you talking about during this lockdown. I've because it's been with the kids and everything else going on, homeschooling and just general life. I find it really hard to sort of sit down and write. I have to have something to aim for. So now I know we've got gigs starting on June the 26th and July and August. Now all of a sudden I'm getting really excited. I'm thinking, right now I'm thinking about the next album, finishing lyrics, listening to ideas, firming up a few new songs and stuff. I have to. I can't write on the road, for instance. Can you write when you're on the road?
No, I can't write on the road. Never could.
No, I can't.
Can't write on the road at all. That's a whole different vibe. I know lots of people that can. I can't. I don't even try. I just enjoy the live concert business, the touring, all this of it. But I can write quite easily at home. I mean, I write all the time. Essentially, I was writing yesterday. I'm sitting there pondering, trying to get the right rhyme to go in this lyric that I'm writing, and I love it. I actually like the process. To me, it's like a puzzle, as if it was something you had to do in Scrabble or a crossword or so. I like, I see it as a puzzle rather than a drag. And also the other thing I find is if you just start, when I was writing the book, you're sitting there with a blank bit of paper on. Well, I'm working I'm working on the computer. Of course, I'm not writing it longhand. And I would just kick off, and I'd quite easily throw a lot of that away. But the fact that I'd started meant that my mind was turning over and producing ideas and the rest of it. And I would just follow wherever that train took me. And I found that when I was talking to my daughter about writing an essay, I said, just start. Doesn't matter where. It doesn't matter what. Even, there's some of this joke with Rod. He says, I've started the song. And I said, okay, how far have you got? He said, I've got the.
I know it's funny. I mean, now I've got the focus. Now I'm back into it again. I need an empty house. I need, when the kids have gone to school, Ali's done a bit of shopping or whatever, and then I have a little bit of time on my own, sit down at piano, guitar, or whatever, and then I can just start to muck about. I mean, the good thing is that I do record pretty much every stupid idea that I come up with, and then I listen back, sort of, a few weeks' time, and then go, good, crap, good, okay, there's a whole song there. I didn't realise that. And that's really nice when you do the reveal kind of thing, Sorry, Alex, we're going on and we're not including you, dear.
Don't you worry about that. I'm very interested in hearing what you guys got to say. You're talking about writing songs. I've never written a song, but I love hearing you. I love you guys. You can talk. I don't have to be on all the time. But whilst I have popped up, I will say this is Stars, Cars, Guitars with Tony Hadley, Jim Cregan and me, Alex Dyke. And thank you very much for all of your comments you're putting on our YouTube channel. This is an audio podcast available from Apple and all of the others, wherever you get your podcasts from. And of course, we are on YouTube as well. Tony's doing individual interviews, and so is Jim, and so am I, and we get together. We have new videos every Friday. So this is kind of like the small print bit when you sign your mortgage. Don't forget to click like and subscribe, and just keep putting those comments up there because we like it. Now, Jim, you know that Tone's got his record collection behind him, and last week we asked him to pull some vinyl at random, and he pulled out a track from an album from a guy we'd never heard of, but he was Tone's first producer with the band.
Richard James Burgess from Landscape, yeah.
Okay, Tone, go on. And random.
By the way, can I just add, this is a tiny piece of my vinyl. I've got a whole stack of stuff over there and stacks over there, and also quite a lot of my ex-wife's loft still. So
okay.
I must redeem it somewhere. Right, okay, I can take my ears off. And right, let's pull out a random piece of vinyl.
Okay.
Okay. I'm just gonna go. I'm not even gonna. Can you see it? I'm just not even gonna.
Yeah. We can see.
I'm just gonna go there.
I think that one was sticking out.
That's a cracker.
Oh,
Elton John.
EJ. Nice.
Yeah. Wow. He looks super.
Tell us about the album, Tone. When did you buy it? Is it the original one you bought when you were a teenager? If you had to re-buy it, looks like it's still in the cellophane.
It's in good condition, actually. It's in really good condition. And there's a big picture of Elt there. And obviously it's been played loads of times. It hasn't been out for a while though. Yeah, that's been played a few times, I have to say. But no, I've always been a big Elton fan. I mean, my first ever, I might have told you before, the first ever double album that I ever bought was Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. And so I've always been a big Elton John fan. And Bernie Taupin, I mean, we spoke, Jim, about Bernie Taupin, super songwriter. But that was Elton, and then there's Elton and Bernie on the back there as well. So
yeah, nice.
It's a great, the Bitch is Back, Pinky, Grimsby, Dilly, God, some Solar Prestige, a Gammon. God, oh dear. I've seen the Saucers. Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me. Yeah, it's brilliant. And there's Ray
I've seen
Cooper.
the Saucers. Is that about food?
I think it's. I've seen the Saucers.
The Saucers.
Ray,
as in flying.
And I've met David Johnston, really nice chap. Nigel Olsen, yeah, brilliant. And worked with Ray Cooper as well. Yeah, and he did a couple of things for him. And he's an amazing, when you Ray Cooper, the way he plays that tambourine, and incredible. But Elton John, I met him when I was a young fledgling Spandau Ballet chappie, and he was so lovely. He was really, really nice chap. We were just talking literally in the corridor, just in the TV corridor, and he was really, really lovely. Yeah, so. As I always say, it's great when you meet your heroes and they turn out to be lovely. Really good.
Well, that was a good pull. That was a good pull as far as the vinyl was concerned there.
Yeah.
So, Jim, can you put your hands on any vinyl at all?
No. I had, that's the simple answer. I had 3,500 albums when I was married to Linda Lewis. And during the divorce, they magically grew wings and all flew away, apart from about 60 of them. There were about 60 that didn't leave, that were ones that I'd played on or had some association with.
No.
All the rest of it took a hike, and I've no idea where they went. But that cured me of collecting things, because it was probably one of the more valuable things I actually owned, apart from maybe a Ferrari. 3,500 albums is a lot.
That's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah, and I was, so I stopped at that point. And then, of course, with the advent of Spotify, I've got, like everybody else, the biggest jukebox in the world just on my phone. So that's how I listen to music now.
Yeah.
My daughter and Camille Cregan and her husband, Will Overby, have a great collection of vinyl, some of which I think they got from their mum. And when I go visit them in LA, that's one of the things we love to do. We just put on something that we haven't heard for a while and sit back in comfy chairs and actually listen to the record, which is an art form that's sort of kind of gone over. You always seem to be doing something else while the record's on, other than paying attention.
Well, this music room that I've got here, I mean, it's got to be decked out a bit more and stuff. But
I was thinking that.
Yeah,
I could help.
I'm going to set my stereo up and everything else, and I just
that does help.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, that's somewhere else. That's another story. It's another story. Anyway, but I just want to be able to do what I used to do and sit down and put an album like that on and just listen to it and hear the when you put the needle on the. But what's really lovely is that, I think for my next album, which will be out in 2022, I'm not sure. I think I'm only going to do vinyl. I mean, it will go on all the streaming things and everything else. But I think, no, I'm getting a nod from that. Well, I thought vinyl would be nice anyway. Matt, my manager, I can see him nodding in the background, go, no. I love vinyl. I think it's great.
I think it's interesting that Matt has vetoed that, but I would think the fans would like that. And isn't there a good markup? I know you don't want to make money out the fans, but I would. Isn't there a really good markup on vinyl? Because you say it's heavy, it's the best quality, it's limited edition. I would have thought your fans would have loved vinyl.
I think certainly. I mean, not just for the older fans, but also for younger fans as well. It's just lovely to be able to, touch it, hold it, feel it. And then, of course, you've got all the lyrics on the inside and stuff. And do you know that for me was such an experience as a young lad growing up, listening to my Bowie, Roxy, beautiful albums that I had and stuff, and all those wonderful artists. And it was a real, when I saved up my pocket money, went down Chapel Market, and that would have been bought down the record shop at Chapel Market in Islington, and then listened to my album again and again and again. It was a great experience, it really was.
It was a big deal, wasn't it, to buy it? You owned it, and at that age you didn't own much, and then you would examine the record label, the inner sleeve and the sleeve for photographs and what small amount of information you could gather, because there was no internet. So, anything you wanted to know about that record, there wasn't an awful lot of information out there, but you could get as much as you could from the vinyl. And those are precious memories.
Yeah.
I find it really disappointing now, for example, on Spotify, I want to know who wrote the song. That may be there in the credits. But I also, if I hear some, let's say it's a great sax solo or there's a ridiculous drum fill, you go, I wonder who's playing drums on this. You can't find it. No. It's as if the interest in who did what is gone. Which is a great shame, because sometimes the musicians are as responsible for the way that, Motown's a good example of that. The musicians are responsible for the fact that things are hit in the first place. That if it had been cut in a different town by a different set of musicians, it wouldn't have been a hit, the same song. So it's a drag when you can't find out who the guys are. And I think that's one of the beauties of of vinyl is there it all is. Who played what on what track? I mean, when I look sometimes at credits on things that I've done, I find I played with people I didn't know I played with. Who came and either they threw my guitar parts off and put somebody good on, or they added another bloke who's great and somebody I've heard of but never met, and they're playing on the same record as me. I mean, there's that kind of thing too. It's quite interesting to find out who you've actually been on a record with.
Yeah.
So I can say I play with everybody, but it's a lie.
Do you want me to have a word with Matt, the manager, Tone, and lean on him so you can have your vinyl?
You're going to do vinyl, won't you? You'll do vinyl, won't you?
Yeah, of course I will. Vinyl's great.
Yeah, but you just got to do CDs as well.
Well, I don't know. I don't know. Someone will tell me at the end of the day, you should do CDs as well. I mean, I still like CDs. I've got racks of CDs but I don't know. But I do love the album thing. The sort of vinyl thing. So limited edition. And we'll see what happens. I'll sign everyone. It'll be wonderful.
I'll buy one.
I can't wait to finish my album. Actually, it's going to be a cracker.
Oh, great!
Yes.
Okay.
I'm really excited.
Give it away at Christmas. Is that what you mean?
No, I've already done that before with some others. No, it's the last one took me so many years to make, and then because I was so happy with it, I sort of re-inspired to get this one done. But of course, with the flipping lockdown and everything, it's been very difficult to finish it. So virtually impossible. So anyway, but there you go. It'll be finished soon.
All right, guys. Well, we look forward to that album, and Tony will obviously keep us up to date. Thank you very, very much, guys, for Stars, Cars, Guitars this time round, and we'll do it again real soon.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks.
It's been a lovely little chat. I hope you're all enjoying it out there in YouTube land and whatever land it is. Anyway, we like a nice little chat. And by the way, there's a cracking rush. No, I'm not going to go there.
All right, stop it.
Stars, Cars, Guitars was produced by Tom Stroud.